Baitcaster versus spinning reel, which one is better? And which one is my favorite? Well, I'll first start off by saying which one's actually better. And the answer is neither one, because they both have pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses that the other one's not necessarily good at. And let's start with the spinning rod, the spinning reel. Since this is kind of the baseline, a lot of people can throw it, and this is probably the most popular. What's good about this is that it's a good all-around reel. I mean, you can literally do everything with it. You can cast really light baits. You can cast pretty heavy baits with the right setup. They're really simple, easy to operate, easy to get in there, not many tangles usually. And I'd say the biggest thing about it is that the way it's designed, whatever you cast, it pulls off just enough line, and that's about it. There's really nothing pulling the line off except the lure itself. And the reason I'd say that's important is because with very light baits, bait casters are actually a problem. And the reason I say that is because on a bait caster, it's a little bit different. At first, it's the lure that's pulling the line off. But after that line hits the water, this spool has been spinning. It has, I guess momentum's what it's called. It's going to keep on spinning, or inertia or something sciencey like that. Which means it's a lot more prone to getting tangled up if you're not really careful about it. But when you're casting lighter baits and lighter setups, that's when it really comes into problems, because bait casters have a really hard time casting light baits. But at the same time, when you're casting heavier baits, heavier setups, heavier line, bait casters do tend to handle it better, since there is a lot more line management in here. But when it comes down to it, you can bluegill bass and catfish with a spinning rod. You can bass and catfish with a bait caster. Bluegill, typically their setups are a lot lighter and almost too light for a bait caster. Now you can still do it if you're really good, but it's a whole lot harder. So when it comes down to the biggest pros and cons of spinning reel versus the bait caster, I would say the bait caster's biggest weakness is casting light lures, whereas the spinning reel's biggest weakness is probably going to be those really heavier lines. And I'm talking pretty heavy, like 40-pound braid or even like 15-pound mono. But that's really cool, because where this thing lacks, this thing exceeds. Where this thing lacks, this thing exceeds. So if you do happen to learn how to use both of them, you can pretty much tackle anything. This for lighter lures and smaller baits, this for heavier size lures and heavier lines, and then boom, you've literally got a setup for everything. If you want to click right over here, I go over my 2-rod setup that can literally tackle anything. The way I've set up this spinning reel and the way I've set up this bait caster can cover almost any lure there is with only 2 rods. Or right over here for some bait caster videos, especially if you already backlashed one.